Hello and welcome to the Mind of Sunnyvale. I am Wanda, aka Sunnyvale, and I would like to thank all of my subscribers for continuing to support my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as you enjoyed the previous ones. And don't worry, if you're not a subscriber yet, it's easy and it's free. Just click the link to subscribe. And whether you are a subscriber or not, you can always like the video, share your comments, and share the video. So, what are we going to be making today? We will be making a very simple dish that I think you will enjoy and you will make over and over again, especially when you learn how easy it is to make. We're making chicken pot pie. So, first I'm going to talk about ingredients and what you'll need to make it. So we'll start with the chicken. I have almost 2 pounds of cooked chicken breast. This was actually just raw chicken breast that I seasoned with a very simple mix of seasoning, just salt, fresh black pepper. I can't talk tonight. Fresh cracked black pepper, garlic powder, and paprika. So I just roasted it in the oven and chopped it into cubes, and here we are. This is a 12-ounce bag of frozen mixed vegetables. This mixture contains peas, corn, carrots, green beans, very simple mixture. But this is a chance for you to make it your own. You can customize the vegetable mix. This is what I use, but you can use a different mix. I have also sometimes added potato. I had a baked potato that I didn't finish, so I cut it into cubes and added it to the mixture. So you can use that if you like. Also, I'm using chicken, but you can always use turkey, or if you want to be like, the ones in the freezer section, you can have cubes of beef. It's your choice. Very customizable. I also have 4 tablespoons of butter, and I have 1 tablespoon of olive oil. I like the butter olive oil mixture there. Then I have 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. I have 2/3 cup of milk, and this milk is warmed. You will find out why when we're mixing, but it needs to be warm. I suggest it's warm. It doesn't have to be, but I think you'll want to warm it. And we have 2 cups of chicken stock. Again, I don't really keep chicken stock around the house because I don't use it in time before it goes bad. But I do like to keep like the bouillon cubes around. So I just put 2 cups of water in the cup, and then I added the cubes and heated it up. This is also heated just like the milk. Heated it up, stirred it. There you go, chicken broth. Then I had some thyme and rosemary lying around. This is totally optional. I don't always use this, but I had it. And I think thyme and rosemary go really well with chicken. So they pair really well. So I had some around. So I'm using it, but it's totally optional. If you want to use other herbs, you're free to do so. Then I have my store-bought pie crust. You will need 2. And I've already used 1 of them, because if you remember from the sweet potato pie recipe that I shared with you, I like to blind bake my bottom crust first. So I had the oven preheated at 350, and I put the crust in, I put parchment paper down, put my lentils on top, and I blind baked it for about 15 minutes. Then I took it out and I removed the lentils, put them in a bowl because I reuse them over and over. So I just put them in a bowl to cool, and I'm going to freeze them and use them the next time I'm making a crust. And I'm setting that aside so that when we're ready to make our pie, we will have the bottom layer already ready to go, and this will be the top layer. So the only other thing you'll need, I'm using an egg wash tonight. It's just a tablespoon of water and 1 egg, and I just mixed it together. It helps to make like a glossy, nice shine to your top crust. So that's what I'm using it for. I will need a whisk. I have a wooden spoon. I have my trusty spatula, and I have a brush because I'm going to need that for my egg wash. Obviously, you will need a pie pan to bake it in. I just have a glass pie pan. That's what I use. So that's what my bottom crust is in. So now that we have all of our ingredients, we know what we're doing, it's actually time to go to the stove. So now we are going to start the stovetop preparations. I am using my smaller Dutch oven because it cooks very evenly, cooks really nicely. So I'm gonna start by turning my stovetop on to about medium heat. This is when I'm going to add in the butter. Add in there. And I'm going to add the olive oil. And I need the butter to melt because it needs to be fully melted before I add in the flour. So I'm just going to move that around. And I didn't want to have my pot warming before I got here because Dutch ovens get hot really quickly and they maintain that heat. So it's okay to take a little time to let this melt. So the butter is almost completely melted at this point. There we go. And I'm going to add in the flour. I'm going to whisk that together. It's going to make a roux, which is going to look like a paste. And I want to cook the flour down because you don't want that raw flour taste. So I'm going to actually let this brown a little and cook just the flour and the butter. You can see the little bubbles as it's starting to heat up. So I just want to cook that probably 2 minutes or so. I'll come back and check. We want it to have a little bit of browning, a little bit of color, because this roux that we're making here is going to be the start of our gravy or the sauce that goes on in the chicken pot pie. So we do want it to have a little bit of browning, a little bit of color. So I actually let it cook for about 4 minutes, and you could see the change in the color. It's a little browner now, and that's what we want. We want it to get a little color. I've been stirring occasionally as it's gotten a little browner. You can see it's a nice smooth mixture. We don't want it to be lumpy. It's a nice smooth mixture. So now I can slowly add in my chicken broth. And this is why I said I wanted it to be warm. I found that when I added in, and some of the bouillon stayed in there, so I'm just going to take that out. I found when I put in cold liquid, my mixture seized up on me. It kind of wouldn't become smooth. It was very gritty. So I choose to warm my liquids now before I add it in. So you can see that's a nice, beautiful color. And then we'll add in our milk. And this is what will become our gravy. The flour and the roux mixture are helping it to thicken, and it smells really good already. I'm starting to smell the chicken broth, and this is when I want to add in my herbs. So they can also, again, the herbs were optional. You didn't have to add that, but I'm adding them in at this time. And I like to let this simmer a little bit before I add in the other ingredients. We'll say, again, I start with about 2 to 3 minutes, and if I think it needs a little longer, then I will let it simmer maybe another 2 minutes. But really just wanting the flavors to really infuse into the liquid, and I want it to be kind of partially cooked. It's almost like I'm making a soup on the stovetop and putting it in a crust. So that's how I think of it. So I'm going to let this simmer for a couple of minutes, and then I will come back to check on it. So at this point, I've allowed it to simmer for about 3 minutes. I'm going to give it a little taste to see if I need to adjust the seasoning. I did put broth in. I put some herbs in, so it should be pretty good, but this is in time when I can adjust for salt, pepper, anything that it might need. So I'm just going to give it a little taste. Hot. That's very good. It's actually seasoned very well. And I know that I also seasoned my chicken, so I don't want to over season it at this point because I've already put salt, pepper, garlic, and paprika on the chicken. This is seasoned. I don't want to over season it because then you'll have a really salty pot pie. We don't want that. So now I'm going to just toss in the vegetables. And frozen vegetables aren't raw to begin with, so they're already partially cooked when you take them out. But I don't want them to cook on the stove. I want them to finish cooking in the oven. I'm just adding the chicken. And then I'm just going to stir this together. And I'm trying to coat the chicken and the vegetables with the sauce. Yeah. It looks so good. I actually could just eat this, forget the crust. I could eat it like that. Kind of like a soup. Oh, it smells really good. I'm not gonna stick my nose over it, but it smells really good. So I'm going to mix that together. And you can let this cook a little bit, maybe 2-3 minutes again, just because the vegetables are cold and the chicken, I cooked it earlier, so it's cool. It's not cold, but it's cool. So if you kind of wanted to warm up a little bit before you put it in the oven, you can totally do that. But now it is time for us to fill our bottom crust and get this pie in the oven. So now that we have finished preparing the filling on the stovetop, I have brought in my pie pan and the bottom crust. So this is the one that I blind baked ahead of time. And now I'm going to pour the filling into here and cover it with the other crust and get this in the oven. Now, with the filling, you will most likely have leftovers. I usually always have leftover filling, but that's fine because, you know, I love my vacuum sealer. So I just vacuum seal it, put it in the freezer. And the next time I need to make pie, I already have the filling prepared. I just thaw it ahead of time in the refrigerator. Then if I want to heat it up first, which I usually do, I put it back on the stove top. If I need to add a little more liquid because it's kind of dried out in the deep freezer, that's fine. I can add a little more chicken broth or a little more water. If it's really well seasoned, I can just add some more water and then put it in the crust and make a pie. And I don't have to worry about making the filling. So this pan is quite hot and it's very heavy. These Dutch ovens are heavy. So I'm gonna go about filling this out. And yeah, so it's just me putting filling into the crust. It smells so good. Like I said, I really could just eat this as is. I don't even need the crust, but since we're doing a pie, I guess I'll do that. So it came out really well. So I use about half of this. As you can see, I have a 9-inch pie pan. So I'm just kind of making sure I don't have any areas more filling than others. Just trying to make sure it's evenly spread out. So there we go. And that filling will be for another pie. So now I take my second crust. It's been sitting out, so it's really easy to manage. When you take it out from the refrigerator, if it's a store-bought, well, any crust really, it's going to be difficult. So you need to let it get to room temperature. So I'm just kind of folding it over first, and then I'm going to go around and kind of crimp the edges. And then if you want to, you can be fancy and add crimping to the side. You know, my crimpings are sometimes good, sometimes it's trial and error, you know. So if you want to, you can go around and crimp the edges. You can decorate your crust if you like, or you could leave it how it is. This isn't a test. Sometimes mine come out good, sometimes they don't. I'm just being honest. So after I get this done, I'm going to continue crimping, but I always make a little mark to let some steam escape. I don't want my crust to bubble up, so I just make, like, you know, little 4 pie marks that you see. And just to let steam escape, And so my crust doesn't have a big bubble. We don't want that. So I'm gonna finish crimping these edges and then I'm gonna get it in the oven. It's set at 375 and you're gonna cook it for about 40 minutes. Obviously everyone's oven is different, but I would start checking it around 35 minutes just to see how it's doing. But about 40 minutes, maybe 45, 50 minutes, depending on your oven. But of course, my egg wash, you just take the egg wash mixture. Again, it was just 1 egg and a tablespoon of water, and just brush it over the top. So I'll do that and then I'll get back to crimping. I'm gonna finish crimping, put it in the oven, and let's see how it looks when it comes out. And so now our pie is out. I left it in the oven for 40 minutes. Doesn't that look beautiful? And you can see the kind of glazy top crust that's from the egg wash. So it was in the oven for 40 minutes. Of course, I rotated it about the halfway point, but now I'm ready to cut into this pie and get myself a slice and see how it tastes. So I did let it cool down for almost 10 minutes. So this isn't straight from the oven. You do that, you will burn yourself. I'm gonna get myself a nice big slice. There you go. Make sure I cut all the way through. All right. Moment of truth. And so here I am about to try some of it. Kind of fell apart on me there, but that's okay. It's still good. This is really good. It's really good. I'm gonna take another bite. It's very good. Still hot. I could probably let it cool a little longer so the filling can set up and solidify a little more, but I really want to taste it. And of course, my leftovers, I told you, already have them vacuum sealed, have my date on them. I labeled it to know what it is. I'm about to put it in the freezer, and the next time I need to make pot pie, I already have my filling made. So I hope you enjoy making this pie. You can make your own crust. You can use store-bought crust, change up the filling to suit you. It's very customizable. I think you will enjoy it. And I hope you remember to like. If you haven't already, subscribe, comment, and share this video with someone you think will enjoy it. So until the next time, I'm going to enjoy my slice of pie and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.